I was at the Kondengi Principal Prison, where I met with different groups of people. President Siseko Julius Tabe of the secessionist movement, the Ambazonian, of Ambazonia, I should put it that way. I met with him and most of the members of his cabinet who were arrested in Nigeria. So I met with them, had a wonderful discussion with them. I met with the president of the, Kamto of the MRC. And then I met with some well-known activists, like my great friend, Penda Ekoka, met Ndoki, Professor Fogi, met with him, Zongang, and so on. Met with different groups, all of them in the prison yard. And it was a most enriching experience for me. The first thing I have to say is they all looked healthy. They all looked very healthy. All had a vision for the future, for the country. All believed that what they were doing was in the interest of the country. I don't think anybody loves Cameroon any more than Kamto or Penda Ekoka. And Biya does not love the country more than them. They are as committed to a healthy economy in Cameroon, a country that grows in peace and keeps developing and registers progress in all sectors. They are as committed to that as anybody else I've met. As a matter of fact, because they are there and they don't have access to much, they're not concerned about the wealth of this country. The criminals who are concerned about the wealth of this country, many of them are outside, not inside there. So I saw people who love this country and will do anything to make it grow better. I had a long discussion with Professor Kamto.
So
his ideas, and I've said this before, his ideas were captured in his political agenda for the campaigns of last year. Everything or most of what Professor Kamto had on his political agenda should be copied and implemented by the government, by President Biya and his team, because there were excellent ideas on the political agenda of the MRC party. So I don't have any, so sitting and talking with Kamto for me was a great moment. Just like Ekoka, who's one of the economic geniuses that I've known in my life. Sitting with him and talking was just an amazing opportunity. First of all, we take the passion out of this debate. When I'm told that, Professor Kamto's election was stolen, fine. If that can satisfy people, okay, and bring down their blood pressure, that's great. Or those on the other side saying similar things, that the president won by 71%. No, but everybody knows the president didn't win by 71%, not with the state of this economy. How could he win at 71%? So let's, or come to lose or, win the election as he claims, without any reasonable means of demonstrating that the count of the votes was carried out in a free and fair manner. Neither side had that. So let's make the claims we make to bring down pressure on both sides. But the fact is, we've got, Kamto should not be behind bars. Because by the same measure, if we applied it on the other side, Biya should not be president. It's as simple as that. So let's get away from all of these things that are based on lies and falsehoods and untruths, voting results that mean nothing. Let's get away from that and talk about a country both sides love and a country both sides want to work for and work to see progress. That's what we should be talking about. I'm glad you say that because, there are people out there who will hear this and say, Kamto and Biya. Yes, Kamto and Biya. Kamto has demonstrated that he can be number 2, even in a Biya-generated system. And it may be true the other way around. If Kamto ran those elections, maybe Mr. Biya will come in second, maybe, or third or something. So what? Biya is a human being, Kamto is a human being. They are Cameroonians, both of them. They are intelligent people. One is younger and even more in touch with the people. And I don't want to say which one of them. But the two should meet and exchange ideas. This country will gain from a meeting between Paul Biya and Maurice Kamto. And let's take away all the fluff. President Biya, he was not born a president. Kamto was not born a professor. These are two nice gentlemen, human beings, who ought to meet over a drink and be talking about Cameroon. Instead of locking Kamto up in a place where he does not deserve to be, and the other one in a palace where maybe, who knows? You know, I went to the prison yesterday and Kamto was sitting and was respected. He was sitting away from everybody else with a table, his table, and books, and writing, and people were coming and consulting Kamto and going. Everybody had their turn. Kamto was like a president in jail yesterday. Kamto was respected. And I'm sure just his presence amongst those people and talking to them and exchanging ideas with them enriched not only Kamto, but everybody in that prison. So look, so a president is not because he's in a 2D or because he's in jail. A president is born, a president is inside. And I saw a president in Kamto yesterday, just as I'm sure I've seen it in Biya too. Sissoco made it clear that he is for an independent state of Amazonia. Very clear. But at the same time, I saw his leadership qualities. As I said earlier in this program, I cannot divulge everything he and I talked about. But I can tell you, and if those who have ears to hear should hear me, there is clearly room for dialogue between Sissoco Tabe Ayuk and this government. There's room for dialogue.
Non-negotiation.
There's room for negotiation. There's room for negotiation. You guys are, throwing in words that have, I'm willing to play along. Yes, whether you call it dialogue, negotiation, whatever, restoration, independence, freedom, whatever you call it. There is room for Sissoco Tabe Ayuk and Paul Biya to sit across the table from each other and talk. Just as there's room for Biya and Kamto, just as there's room for the activists, Penda Ekoka, Merton Doki, and the rest of them, to engage. Why can't we bring down the temperatures in this country and engage with everybody who has an idea, who has something to give, Pukwapa? Why don't we do it? In every negotiation, there's background work that needs to be done. There's some level of due diligence, which should allow you to know who is open to negotiate and who is not. There's absolutely no point engaging with someone who says there's zero opportunity for negotiation, because every negotiation means somebody, gives away an inch or not. So, I believe that due diligence needs to be done, not by a central actor in this process. In other words, not by the government necessarily, or the Amazonians or anybody else on the other side, the federalists. That due diligence should be done by an independent party. It could be an internal independent group or an external independent group. We could call in the African Union or the United Nations or anybody else, or friendly government, to help in carrying out that pre-conference review and identify those who are willing to engage in a negotiation, in any form of dialogue, because there should be an outcome. This war in Cameroon, whatever we say of it, will end one day, and it will end at the negotiation table. So why not do it now than later? And to know who to talk to is to, as I say, do that background work that allows us to identify who is willing to negotiate. And if the people are identified and they come around in good faith to find a solution to this problem, whatever the solution is, whether it's separation, whether it's restoration, whether it's independence or not, whether it's federation, whatever that solution is, let us identify the people who are willing to talk and let them come together after the work of a neutral party. And this government should have the courage to reach out to a neutral party. The extremists of all shades, because they're different shades, should be willing to accept that independent party. And then once their work is done and they give a report, let's meet and talk about this country that everyone, should love or loves or expresses love for. And then beyond those negotiations, whatever the outcomes are, that international community should help us implement them.